And welcome to another edition of the Pekin First podcast. My name is Josh, and I get the absolute pleasure of serving as the online ministries director here at Pekin First. Today, I have with me a special guest. I have my lovely wife.
Hi.
Zena and I have been married for this is a test.
Yeah,
this is a test for almost 3 years. This month it will be 3 years on the 25th. By the way, married in 22 on the 25th. So close. And this podcast is episode 29, and we are titling this one "Real Marriage." This one is based on social media. How on social media, marriage always seems perfect, and it is not. So we always start with this week's personal best, and I'm going to let you start with your personal best.
I was thinking about this on my way over, and Jack, our grandson, he comes to visit me every Thursday, and it was the cutest thing. Today, he actually came over to the office, and most of the time he has a kind of shy air about him when he comes to the office because he's not really familiar with the with the office yet. But today he walked into the office and he just had this expression on his face, and I could tell his little wheels were turning, and he just kept saying, "No, choo choo." Choo choo, and just had this expression like he had something to say, and he kept babbling and blah 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 blah, baby babble, choo choo. So it was really cool watching our grandson find a piece of his personality that related to excitement. You could tell that he was super excited to come into the office today and tell Nana about the choo-choo. And I'm not sure if he saw a choo-choo or heard a choo-choo, but yeah, that was pretty great.
Awesome. Yes, we are that old that we can have a grandson.
Yeah.
And my personal best is, you know what? I did think about this a lot, trying to come up with a personal best. And I think my personal best is we finally have planned a family vacation. And when I say family vacation, we're not taking the kids with us. We're going to see family in Florida after a pretty large tragedy. We weren't able to get down there. We finally get to go down there, and that is this week's personal best for me because I'm excited for two reasons. One, that we are going down to see family and be with family over these tough times. And the second is we get a getaway,
Right?
And just a kind of a break. It's been a year and a couple months since we've been away together on a long stint, so it'll be nice.
Yeah.
So that is this week's personal best for me.
Nice.
All right, so this is episode 29. It's called Real Marriage. Social media always presents marriage as it's supposed to be perfect, right? Everybody's pictures are perfect. The vacations are perfect. Kids are perfect. Everything is perfect on social media. And the truth is relationships are messy, complicated, but with the right person and faith, relationships are so worth it. In the Bible, the book of Genesis, we read, "A man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." And that's in Genesis 2:24 in the King James Version. This is a powerful verse. It speaks to the unity and the intimacy in marriage, and it is meant to have a woman and a man be one. It's called us to become one with our spouse, sharing our lives deeply connected in a harmonious, you're going to have to help me on that one. Harmonious way. The Bible also tells us how we should treat each other in marriage. It's about roles, and it's a beautiful dance, love, respect, support. And Ephesians 5:22 through 23 does a pretty good job of describing that as well. So we're going to start a little bit about our marriage. This is both of our second marriage. And when we got into this relationship, Our kids will tell you it was a lot of on and a lot of off.
Yeah.
A lot of that, most of that would be me. I was very guarded when we got into this relationship. Number one, I didn't want to hurt anybody again, and I didn't want to get hurt again. So that level of indecision or cautiousness will go is because it's a tough. Relationships are tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. And I cared about Zena so much that I didn't want to hurt somebody again. I didn't want to hurt her again. And in the process, I was continuing to hurt her by on again, off again. You know, we were both involved in that. That's a two-way street for sure. But a lot of that was my indecision or in my guardedness.
Well, and a lot of that, you know, during that time all relationships are tough. There's going to be ups and downs in every single relationship, no matter if they seem perfect or not. But a lot of that indecision, you know, me being on the other side of that, I went to faith. You know, I didn't necessarily go that I had faith in, you know, just God or the Bible, or I had faith in us. And every time if this is meant to be, it will be. And that got me through a lot of the hurt. And so when we finally decided to do the relationship on a permanent basis, you know, like this, you know, we're going to do this.
Right.
You know, that's when I realized, okay, that's how you're supposed to take these steps. You are supposed to have indecision. It's normal. You're supposed to have hurt and get over it. You know, you have to ask for forgiveness. You have to get forgiveness. You have to give forgiveness. And I think a lot of that, in dealing with the beginnings of a relationship, does boil back down to just having faith in your life.
100%. I tell the story often of how, so I gave my life to Christ some time ago, and I don't know the exact year. I do know it was on Easter that I became a member of this church and also got baptized at the same time. Along the way, I lost my way, and I always tell the story about I was in a pretty rough place, and it was one of those off times with us, and I was in a pretty rough place, and this is the place that the church is the place that I stop, because that's where I connect the most with God. And that's when I reaffirm my faith. And quite honestly, we had lunch that day.
Yeah.
I was here in the morning, hungover, just to be clear, hungover and having a conversation with God, a tough conversation with God. And then that afternoon we went and had lunch, and this is it. We need to do this. This feels right. God has put us here together, so it's time to do this. And that was 2019. Yeah, 2019. Allie graduated in 2019.
Yeah.
So
ish. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 19, our kids finally started to, I mean, they had been together and known each other, but we really started to bring the family together. When you're putting a blended family together, it can go sideways quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
So we were slow to do that. We were really slow to do that.
Yep.
Until, quite honestly, we ran into a road where, okay, this is, Zena was taking her middle daughter on a graduation trip, and the youngest, Grace, needed to be with somebody, and she spent a week with me. We got to know each other real fast, and had a great time. And we are a well blended. I feel we are a well blended family for sure.
Yeah.
And our parenting styles were way different, but there is always the one thing I have learned with you is to compromise, and I've learned that, quite honestly, it's not worth holding my ground on something that is not that important.
Right.
So we've we balance each other out. I was the helicopter parent. You were the
Long leash.
and we've compromised in the middle, and it works. It's
Yeah.
working, I should say.
Yeah.
It is always a work in progress, but it's working, and our kids are great. We have 5 girls together, and one just graduated high school, and we have 1 more to go.
One more to go. Yeah, the slow integration into a blended family, I think that really was poignant in the success of the children accepting a second marriage, because that's a thing. You have to take that into account when you are considering getting into a committed relationship, that is a secondary. And, it was super important to you. It was super important to me. And, we waited for a milestone, Allie's graduation, our middle daughter's graduation. We had talked about, we want to move forward. But the biggest thing on our mind was that's in the plan. But we wanted to make sure that the children weren't adversely affected by it. And we made that a priority, and I think that when they recognized the fact that we made that a priority, they were willing to embrace it, the relationship better, because they knew that you and I both had the same mindset when it came to blending the family together. It goes back to the original, we have the same value system when it comes to raising the kids. And we want the kids to have a safe, happy, warm environment at the house. And that's all kids. They don't have to be biologically related to us.
Right.
We invite anyone to come enjoy our home. And I think that throughout the years, these past 5-6 years, we've had some people that have come and go as far as the children's friends. But we've had some that have been, like you said, lifelong, and they've gotten to the point to where they're calling us mom and dad.
You're right.
We're going to their graduations. We're that house. The kids will say, "You're that house," and I think that the reason why we are that house is because of you and I. I don't necessarily think that it's because of the things, but you and I had a vision. And that vision was that we wanted to be that house. So we designed the house to have some things that would be amenities so that the children would enjoy coming. But honestly, if we didn't have those things, I still think that we would be that house.
Absolutely. And it all seems, here we are, and we're talking about our life, and it is not perfect at all.
Nope.
Our children tell us that we call them the children, but we debate. And so this is something that they've come up with that we debate. We don't debate a lot, but we debate, we banter back and forth. I wouldn't say we've had very few what I would call a fight,
Right.
but very few of those, and it comes with the experience that we've both had on the other side. And if I could give somebody that a newlywed going into a marriage advice, and it's take a minute, right? When you're starting to get in a heated conversation, take a minute, walk away, take a minute. Don't ignore it, come back to it, but be patient, because that's the one thing that, again, that I've learned in our relationship is it's not, number one, I don't like yelling and screaming, and I don't believe we've ever done that. I can't recall off the top of my head where we've ever done that, because I make it a point not to. And the second thing is it really worth it?
Yeah. So I would say that, coming from a second marriage, again, I mean, first off, we have to give some props to our exes, because we've learned a lot from those relationships. We've learned how to not be, as well as how to be towards each other. And, if I could give a newlywed couple any advice at all, I would just have have a moment where you are, I would say, in the fight, and just take a minute, take a second, and think, do I really care about this? Is this something that is really significant to me? We're going to paint the walls gray, and he wants brown. And
This has been a debate, by the way.
it is, and it literally was a debate, and it literally took us 10 seconds to come to terms with it. You know, where I don't know that in the past I can say that I would not have just dug my heels in and said, absolutely not, we're not painting our living room brown. And I think that comes with age, experience,
for sure.
you know, past experiences. So if you are in a newly starting relationship and you are having these types of conversations, I think that what I would say is take a minute and decide, you know, not only is the fight itself worth it, because it might be to your partner. It might be absolutely 100% worth it to your partner to have brown walls. But if it's not important to you at the end of the day to have brown walls, but it is important to your partner, then let it be. Let it go.
Right. And that's kind of where we have compromised is I care about the color? I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about the curtains. I don't care about, you know what I mean? And I used to, and it's like, no, I just don't like that. And in the end, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
And to my, my stepdad, who I call dad, his credit, he's the one, him and my mom were married twice, and they're in their second round, to each other. And he's the one that said, it's just not worth it, because they used to fight nonstop. Like it was a toxic relationship. They were happy together, but when in times of turmoil, it was a toxic relationship. And he said, I finally figured out it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And that I took that to heart, especially as you and I started to have our relationship. It's just not worth it. And then there was not that long ago, we kind of got into it a little bit. It was, and honestly, over nothing. I can't even remember what was over. And we went somewhere. Oh, we're going to my dad's. And we were going to my dad's, and we got to my dad's because my sister was in town. And I went, and we were kind of not speaking to each other. We were on, right. It was
were
fun.
decompressing.
We were decompressing. That's a great word. And I got out of the truck, and I'm like, you know what? If something, because of recent events that's happened in our lives, if something would have happened to me in the next 30 seconds, is that the way that I want her to remember me? Or if something happens to her in the next 30 seconds, is that the way that I want to remember her or be our last moments together? And the answer is
no,
never.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So when you are digging in, you got to keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
And
that's a good one.
And the last part of this, and because we're going to go along here, but the last part of this is how faith works in our life. This is the Peak and First podcast, and the way that faith works in our lives for me is I dig into the church work. I dig into getting this giving this podcast. I dig into scripture a lot, but our faith is different. You were raised a Baptist, and I was not raised in a church, or semi-Baptist, semi-Methodist, kind of all over the place. And when we have a family gathering, the first thing we do is pray.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
We hold hands and pray, and that is on your cue. That has been on your cue since day one, and that is the way we welcome people into our house for a meal, is we pray with them. And having the faith that we do has brought this relationship leaps and bounds above any other relationship, friend, not friend, or a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, has brought this relationship above it because of my faith, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we both have faith in each other. We both have faith in, our church and our religion. And I'm going to go back to part of the reason why the faith works in our lives is because we both have strong faith. So going back to again to if you have to give a newlywed couple, any type of advice, make sure that your faith values they're combined. They're intertwined. They match. I had a relationship with a person that did not have faith values, and that was tough for me.
I don't know that I've ever, with having I've never been in faith and not had that.
Not had a partner that wasn't.
Correct.
That can be difficult. That's a difficult conversation. That's a difficult fight. That's a difficult, how do you grow together? It can be difficult. So I think that's part of the reason why we have the strength that we do in the relationship.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions or want our amateur advice, if you will, please don't hesitate to comment on this podcast, or you can email me at podcast@peakinfirst.org. Shoot me an email. You can catch me on social media as well. Shoot the church an email. I'd be happy to have this conversation. We would be happy to have this conversation. If you and a loved one are going through a tough relationship, let's talk it out. Let's have a small group. Let's talk it out. It's not everybody goes through rough patches. It happens. This is why, you know what, we just planned, I talked about family vacation or our vacation coming up. And part of that was, personally, I could feel our marriage start to strain because of the daily stress, because we're into everything. Between the two of us, it is a nonstop day 100% of the time. And we were not stopping for each other. We do have a date night once a week, but we were not stopping. We're not with each other more than that date night, which is an hour.
Some maintenance that needs to take
Absolutely.
effect,
And just spend time with each other. And that is honestly, that is number one advice for me. Well, number two, have faith in each other, the one you said. And then the second one is take time for each other. Even with 5 girls, take time for each other. You have to. It is the maintenance part of the relationship. And we used to take a vacation once a year, go out of the country until COVID hit. And I think that was fantastic. But I mean, even if you can't take a vacation, because for whatever reason you have little ones or you have a financial strain or anything like that, I think that it's important that, take a vacation from maybe your day-to-day life, work, kids, bills, all of the things, and go outside and sit on your porch with your husband and look him in the eye and talk about things and, pay attention to each other. Make sure that, you're focused on what they're saying. That can also be a point of maintenance in a relationship that can be considered, an endearing moment, Absolutely. Absolutely. She always has to tell me, I'm here, pay attention to me. and sometimes that's what you got to say, especially with the ADD I got going on. And I have what did Bailey call it? FOMO. I have FOMO.
You have FOMO,
The fear of missing out.
Yep.
So we have great things going on around here at Pekin First. Speaking of the church, we'll be continuing the sermon series that is entitled The Holy Spirit. This will be the second week. We had the Teen Challenge last week, so this is the continuation. This week is Pentecost here at the church, so come join in for that. You can catch that at 5 p.m. on Saturday, 8 a.m. on Sunday, or 10 a.m. online or in person on Sunday as well. We have a July, just a little bit of a teaser. We do have a July sermon series coming up, and it is fantastic, and it is about, I'm going to let Pastor Sean give that one next week, but we do have a fantastic sermon series coming up in July. We have all kinds of kids programs going on this summer. We have Lego Night that's happening this week, June 11th, or this coming week, June 11th. And keep your calendar open for late June and check out the website for VBS that is also coming up. Also, you can catch Bible studies on Wednesday, Sunday, and you can catch a men's and women's group once a month. So check out all the activities going on here at Pekin First. You can catch it on Facebook or Instagram or on our website at peakinfirst.org. All right, that will do it for us on this Pekin First podcast, episode 29. Remember, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.